Welcome back to another episode of Law Firm Success Stories. Now, today we have another great guest on because one of the things that a lot of lawyers want to figure out is how do you become the CEO of your law firm? You may have loved practicing law, but at some point you do want to become the person who's working on the firm, increasing the impact, increasing the growth of the firm. We have a great guest who has done that and also does a lot to help other lawyers understand how to do that for themselves. So, welcome to the show, Craig. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. The way we like to start off is tell us a little bit about what your firm looks like today and what your role in the firm looks like.
Sure. My name again is Craig Goldenfarb. I have a law firm in West Palm Beach, Florida, which is on the southeast coast of Florida. And I have two offices. We have about 12 attorneys and over 80 support staff. I'm the sole owner. We started my firm in 2002, so that's 22 years ago. And we grew from one employee and me also to 12 attorneys and more than 80 staff. And what's interesting is about 15 years ago, I decided I didn't want to be a lawyer anymore. I wanted to be a CEO. I luckily had a mentor who trained me when I started being a lawyer on some business aspects of running a law firm. When I was 26 years old, I got what I call a dual education, which is being a lawyer and being a businessman at the same time. So right out of law school, I had this dual education, and now it's almost 30 years later, and I totally transformed from being an attorney to being a CEO starting about 15 years ago.
Wow. Now, was there anything that happened 15 years ago that triggered your thought of just seeing that possibility of, hey, I could still be in the law firm but not have to be a lawyer?
Sure, I speak a lot across the country on that difficult dance between being an attorney and being a CEO. And what I like to tell people is you have to figure out where on that spectrum you want to be, because it doesn't have to be on one side or the other. You don't have to be all lawyer, no business. And if you're all lawyer, no business, you should not create your own law firm. You should work for another law firm. And if you're all business, no law, then you shouldn't work on law. And I knew, unlike many lawyers, that at a certain point in my career 15 years ago, I was like, you know what? I'm done practicing law. I was overworking, I was overstressed. I would prepare 6 hours for a 1 hour deposition, and I would prepare for 4 weeks for a 3 day trial. So that wasn't going to work for me. It wasn't going to work for my wife or kids. And I realized that my skill set more led itself to being a business person and growing my entity as a company than being in the trenches and being an attorney. So once I made that mindset shift 15 years ago, I had to seek out advice. Like, how do you become a CEO of a law firm? Like, I didn't know anybody. So I had to start reading books on leadership and business organization. And I realized after I started reading, that was what I really loved. So today I'm 100% CEO. But if you want to do half and half, you want to handle 20 cases and still run your law firm, you can do that. It's fine wherever you are on that continuum of lawyer to CEO. It's just you got to figure out where you want to be and then utilize tools and resources to get to where you want to be.
Awesome. I love it. Now, I know you mentioned or you started to mention some about this, but I want to talk a little bit more. It's like, you know, making that transition from lawyer to CEO. What did that start to make your personal life look like, or what you were able to do outside of the firm?
Made it a lot better, to be honest, because I became happier. There's a lot of books that talk about flow or being in your skill zone or your happy place. And I realized that I wasn't in my happy place when I was practicing law. And I was in my happy place when I was networking, when I was building structures and organizations within my law firm. I have a type of personality that likes to build. I have 8 or 9 businesses right now, including my law firm, and I'm a builder. So a builder is usually an entrepreneur. Many lawyers don't have that personality type. They want to be an attorney, and that's fine. But I realized I want to build things, and you can't build things if you're doing depositions for 6 hours and trials for 3 weeks. It doesn't allow you to build. What happened is my relationship with my wife became better. My relationship with my family became better. I started to be more in what I call a flow state, which is that you're just enjoying things so much that work really isn't work anymore. It's just fun. And isn't that everybody's goal?
Awesome. I love that. I love the fact that it, like I said, you found your place of flow and was able to really see those improvements in your personal life with your wife and your family. That is amazing. So I'm curious if you were talking to a lawyer, as you usually do as you travel around, and they're trying to understand. So, what really is the big difference between you being a lawyer versus you being a CEO? Like, how does that really look different? Like, how would you usually answer that?
My day is spent managing, and my day is spent giving advice and solving problems, just like it is when you're a trial lawyer. But the difference is you're not dealing with clients. So I have a large executive team, which is 5 people, which runs my firm. And then below that, we have 13 leaders who are in the leadership team. So I run my business like a business, not a law firm. We run on a structure called EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System, which is becoming very popular these days in law firms. It's a corporate structure based on a book called Traction, and that's taken the country by storm for personal injury attorneys. Is that system, EOS, especially in the personal injury industry. And once I started utilizing in corporate structures and leadership teams and management roles, and started really reading up on leadership skills, business organization, and that became what I studied because I'm no longer looking at law books. I'm looking at business books. So it transformed the way I think about my daily routine, what I do. And I'm in meetings most of the day. And if you don't like being at a desk and you like being out in a courtroom, that's great. But that's not what I wanted to do. I like managing from my desk. I like being in meetings, which some would say is weird, but I like running stuff. And if you like running stuff, then you want to be a business person. And that's really my happy place, is to be a visionary, come up with ideas, delegate, which is the biggest challenge for anyone who runs a business, is the challenge of delegation. So I actually started reading books on delegation and trust, and there are a bunch of good books out there, because if you can't delegate and you cannot trust, you cannot grow.
Awesome. Before we wrap up, one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is before we started recording, you mentioned about some of the awesome things you're doing and traveling around the country, speaking to different lawyers, and you mentioned about a mastermind. Can you tell people a little bit about some of the things you do in that space?
Sure. I think one of the best parts about being an entrepreneur is to have a mindset shift that you're always learning. And if you stop learning, you stop growing. So there's another saying, you are the average of the 5 people you hang around with most. I love that saying because I want to surround myself with people who are successful, who are mindful, who have a positive rather than a scarcity mindset. And so I travel a lot to find people who are in the same mental space that I am, which is I always want to grow, I always want to improve, both on a personal and business level. So I'm in a couple of masterminds, which are groups of, in my case, PI lawyers across the country that are high level folks who think like I do, and we compare ideas because we don't compete. It's one person per state or one person per region of the country. I also go to a ton of seminars where I'm speaking or just an attendee. And that's because I really am a lifelong learner, and I never think like I know everything, because I don't. And I learn from a variety of wonderful people, both in reading and lecturing and being a part of groups and leading groups. So I really think that I really attribute my growth to a mindset of always wanting to learn.
Awesome. I love it. And then also, we'll definitely keep an eye out on all the awesome things that you're up to. But I want to say, Rick, thank you so much for coming on and being a guest today.
You're welcome. Can I pitch the next seminar I'm doing, if you don't mind,
Oh,
Terrell?
absolutely.
Sure. So I give a seminar once a year, and we change the city every year. And the name of the seminar is Seven Figure Attorney. And if you just Google Seven Figure Attorney Summit, you can find it. This particular year, it's going to be April 24th, 2025 in Orlando. And it's a one-day seminar. And I really share everything for the full day about how I run my law firm, from operations to incentives to compensation. And my chief of marketing speaks, and my chief operating officer speaks. And it's geared towards personal injury firms. So if you want to hear a whole day of me showing all my secrets, sevenfigureattorney.com, April 24th, 2025 in Orlando.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Law Firm Success Story, sponsored by the TL Turner Group, where we focus on making accounting and finance simple so that you can focus on more success for your law firm. follow us online, and visit us at tlturnergroup.com/law firm success to see more episodes of the Law Firm Success Stories.